Well, hello and welcome back to the Kernow Model Railway YouTube channel. Today's video is all about the locomotives, which I am going to be running on my little 1.8 by 1 metre, so not really little, but smaller than Crowswood, railway that I have downstairs. Now, back the train, so I have a short freight train up towards the platform. And, well, there's the one which kicked it all off. This is MR-107, which is listed as a USA tank, but it's technically not. It's an S100, built by the United States Army Transportation Corps. This has got the earlier cab with the slightly smaller coal bunker, the round windows, but it's also got some different features on it, which I'll come on to a little bit later on. This is the engine which really kick-started everything in regards to me wanting to run S100/USA tanks, because there are currently 4 that I run on the layout, and there are 5 currently available, still in stock, new, at the Model Rail Offers site, and I think Kernow Model Rail Centre supply them, and also you can, I think, pretty sure, because I did a quick search and it popped up, if you type in Bachmann USA on Kernow Model Rail Centre's website, they will pop up. There are 5 in all. We're having a look at 4 of them. The one which is not going to be shown in this video is, I don't remember the number, but product code number, but it is the Brownworth Valley number 72, I think it is. The main reason why I'm not going to be looking at that one is because I'm not keen on how the brown looks against the steel coloured smoke box. Otherwise, if it was a black smoke box, it would be, I probably would have it, to be honest, but I'm not too keen on how that looks. It looks a little bit too American, but also not American, which is strange because these are technically American locomotives. Well, let's have a little bit of a closer look at this engine and explain sort of why it is I chose this engine for what was originally going to be an almost exclusively saddle tank powered layout, and go from there. Well, the reason why I chose this one first, so we're going in order of either how in which I brought them or in how I opened them, because I did buy the second and the third one at the same time. I chose this one initially because it was £110 in a sort of a sale, which makes it pretty reasonably priced for a fairly complex 060 with really quite lovely complicated valve gear. Let's just run her forward slightly, bring her back, and she is actually going over a dead zone on a point, just a set track point, but it's still there, and she's doing this a lot more reliably than the Hornby Picket, and she cost about the same as the Hornby Picket as what I paid RRP wise versus Hornby Picket. It's a bit more complicated, but this engine is actually less than I've seen some of the 040 Pickets go for. I've seen them go for 115, 120 at the retailers. So £110 plus free postage. That was brilliant. Growing up in the southern region, the S100, or a variant of it modified into what was known as the USA class, used by the Southern Railway, they did exist quite four left. And so as a kid, I did sort of see one a lot due to 30064. I believe the number is. Yep, so I've got a picture of it up on the wall. That was an engine which I saw somewhat regularly in a siding. And 30064 has fairly recently, even the last few years or so, been sold to a private owner with the intention of getting her back up and running. And it would be great to actually see her in steam. And so this engine, it runs, I find, generally a lot nicer than the Hornby Peckett. It cuts out a lot less on point work and even on second radius curves. As my 040 Peckett has a tendency to, I think the back-to-back's too tight and it just doesn't like the second radius curve, so it will get too many wheels off or not quite touching the pickups, and it will just sort of stutter. And the 060 Peckett is faster than this, despite this having bigger wheels and being a bigger engine, which did take me by surprise. And of course, these aren't perfect. Very few models are, but as you can see here, there's a little bit of overspray from the interior colour, and they do have a really nice interior. And I have dusted the engine somewhat recently, but it's quite a complicated shape up top to sort of dust, so I usually use a brush. But in terms of the interior detailing, I'll see if I can get that on camera. So I've moved the signal to give me a bit more space, so I can just lift her up. So there's a good amount of detail in there. It's quite hard to show. There's even a planking on the bottom, and the floor is on 2 levels. Now the gauges, as you can see, aren't sort of picked out with proper little needle marks or anything on them. Just go to the other side. Well, that is a really nice cab interior. Yeah, for £110, a smooth, reliable locomotive with really quite complicated valve gear. That's really mesmerising to watch. Another reason why I've gone a bit more on them, as one of my doodles while I've been planning. And you can get quite a slow, this is on DC, you can get quite a slow I've stopped it there. So it's really quite controlled. Really nicely detailed. I'll turn the flash off now. But there's a really nice contrast as well, because the boiler has a great shine on it. And then you've got these flat sides of the cab, and it really contrasts nicely the sort of curved boiler, and you've got the sort of shine along it, and then you've got just the flat on the finish is the same, but it's due to the sort of the angles and the shapes that it just makes a really nice sort of look to the engine. And the engine looks like it's gonna do a job, but it's gonna do it well. So it's cheaper than the 040 Peckett. This one is cheaper than the 040 Peckett. It runs slower than my 060 Picket. Because the 060 Picket, I think my one was cheaper than my... It was... I don't know if it was cheaper. The 060 Picket was, I think, £105 approximately. This is 110 with free postage. Again, which is awesome. And that's not... I'm not a subscriber to Model Rail either, so... But I think that is the price that you pay if you are a subscriber. But I can't confirm that because I didn't look at that because I'm not. I just buy the magazine occasionally and when it's in Tesco. Now we'll be comparing this to another of an S100 type. Have a look at the front end. Whoop. So I've been looking at it from the rear because all the engines face anti-clockwise, which is sort of to be as if there is a gradient somewhere on the layout. As you can see, two USAs sort of in the background there, but this engine's got, it used to be a little number plate on the front, and again I'm going to compare it to a as delivered S100, but we've got these extra handrails and there are steps here. Try and see if I can show those a bit easier. These appear to be unique on this engine, so I'm assuming it'd be for a shunter. Just walk up, hold on, and then he can then direct or get a lift to the wagons at the colliery, if I can do English. I think there's two of these which worked at this colliery at the Hartley main unit, just so I don't say it wrong, which I believe is a little bit north of Newcastle upon Tyne. So it's quite a way away from sort of Southampton docks, where they're most famous for working in the UK. Although that said, as well as a coal board, it's known that Longbourn Military Railway had an S100. I don't know if their S100 they have now is the same as the one they had originally, but it might be. And I think the Austin Motor Company brought some as well. And of course, they went all overseas as well, as far as China and Yugoslavia. But that's a quick look at number 36. So I'm going to be getting the next one, which is a USA. It's number S73 in early British Railways livery. And after that it'll be DS237 or Maunsell in a departmental malachite. And then it's going to be number 1968 in the Transportation Corps livery, and then I'll compare some of the models against each other to sort of show similarities and differences. So this is MR-111, which is S73 in British Railways early livery. This would have been around 1948, as it's still got the southern number, but with the little S prefix on it, and British Railways written in the bullied font. And this one also has, bring it back a bit, little builder's plate. It's just printed on instead of 3D plate, but it's still a nice thing to see. And there's another plate actually on the side of the coal bunker as well. So right off the bat you can see that this has a different cab, a different coal bunker, and the whistle and safety valves are picked out in a different colour. They are plastic on these, but they look alright to me. And this was the most expensive, and is the most expensive on the site. It's £129.95, I think, 95.99. So nearest makes no difference, it's 130 quid. Why this one is the most expensive, I don't know. Because it doesn't have the most complicated detailing or the most complicated livery. Well, it's a variation of my favourite livery, which is the Southern Wartime Black. The sunshine yellow lettering and the malachite green shadow. It's not a complicated livery, and it's not got the most complicated details on it. The other three that I've not mentioned, well, but I've not mentioned the price for yet, are all nearest makes no difference £125. So that's the United States Army Transportation Corps variant, that's the departmental green, and the brown one with the steel smoke box. An advantage of this one is that she's got holes here for detailing for a brake pipe, and I'm assuming steam heat pipes, because these were used at Southampton to preheat coaching stock while awaiting the locomotive to come pick up the coaches and take them away. And you can also see on the front of the engine there is no round disc, which would have been a number plate, and there's the square windows. It's got 3 windows on the front, and the bigger buffers, if I can remember the word, it's a simple word. These steps on the front, and again the cab is slightly different. I do dust these, but again, for whatever reason, they always look really dusty under a harsh light or under a camera in general. But moving on to the interior, see there's a different window, but it's still got the 2 level, the wooden planking. And pretty similar, or possibly the same interior. This one doesn't have any sort of interior paint overbleed or overspray. From what I can tell, this is probably the best livery application of all of them. This one's also a bit louder than number 36 in the NCB livery, slightly. Still smooth though. And I think there is a tiny flywheel inside. It does act like it's got one. I haven't opened these up yet. I've not felt the need to. And this is me marking where the ends are between here and here. So the engine needs to be parked with a set of 4 of the newer Hornby or Pattons 4-wheel coaches. So if the engine's here, then the coaches are all in the platform. That valve gear is so mesmerising to watch. This one's also got another detail which number 36 has to fit. It's got a sort of a plate which comes over on the buffer beam, which can be positioned sort of folded over or upright, which I'm assuming would have been used sort of lay over the buffers and help clean out the smoke box, a bit like on a bullied Q1 where you'd put a plank of wood or something across the buffers and you'd then clean it out that way, because there is no running plate on this engine or on the Q1. Because these were wartime, austerity type, disposable locomotives, supposed to have a service life of 5 years, and they were still, in some capacity, working in the early 2000s, 2010s, from what I've seen some videos and what some sources online seem to suggest. There were still some of these S100s working. But that's pretty much this one. So I'm going to move on to the green departmental engine next. Well then, this one is a bit of a contrast to the others, as this one has a malachite green almost, just listed as malachite green on the box. Lined livery. It's just got more detail on it as well. It's got a lot of extra and different details, and again I will compare side by side with S73 later, as well as 1968. And 1968 also compare up against number 36, just to show some of the detail differences between them. But there is a reason why I'll be comparing this one to 1968, which I will explain a little bit later. But right off the bat, you can probably see, apart from the green, there's an aerial here, and there's actually another one here behind the funnel chimney. I'll see if I can just move her forward. There it is. And so these are to do with the telephone radio systems. These are fitted Southampton docks, so they could then talk back to headquarters, the office, let them know, it's time for me break, or my shift's ended, or ask what there is that they need to do, or be given instructions for shunting, or have a relief crew come over. It's also got a different piece between this dome, which I have no idea what it is. It might be a sander, because I think Americans like to have the sanders on the top. I'm going by what I think is a sander on my 009 Baldwin. I think that's just one of these might be a sander, but there's a different little gubbin here, and these safety valves are also slightly shorter. There's another difference, and they've got more more steps here. It's a larger step. Still got the front steps, still got the larger buffers. It's got the sort of the steam and heat and the brake pipes down here. But other than being in a very fetching livery, very bright, it's a very nice livery. It runs pretty much the same as the others, nice and smoothly. Doesn't stutter over points, which is another reason why I'm using these. Camera's a bit close, but it's lined all the way around the rear of the bunker. And these do have the extended bunkers, which have a narrower opening up here, which can be I assume it'd be a bit of a pain to load. At least one in preservation has the coal bunker all the way up to the top of the roof. But it is absolutely lovely. And this engine is preserved. This is, I won't say the only one of the four that's preserved, but technically, I'll get on to 1968 in a second. 1968 is also preserved. Technically, because this engine is preserved, which is a hint as to why I'm comparing this engine against 1968. The cab interior is the same as is on a 73. It's a little bit louder than number 36 again, but there's nothing really too much of a problem. Smooth running is more important, I think, than being dead silent. Right, then I'll get 1968 out. And in case I haven't said it, this is product code MR110. And it is it's £125 or thereabouts. Again, they will have free postage from Model Rail, and don't know if they do through Kernow, but you can, I think, you could order them through Kernow and add some extra coaches and things, because they seem to have a sale on at the moment. But let's go and get number 1968 out. And so here is number 1968 in USATC, or United States Army Transportation Corps livery. So this is as they would have been delivered most likely in 42, 43 when they were shipped over to Britain. You can see there's the disc. This time it has the number 1968 on it. And you've got, it's a very American, for obvious reasons, sort of font on the side, and the number 1968. It looks like it says I-968. Before I should go any further into the model, I should remember that the product code for this is MR-101, and again, it's nearest makes no difference, £125. It's smooth. And we're going up there this time because I haven't changed the points back. See, they don't struggle on point work. It wants to focus. It doesn't struggle on point work, which is another reason. Again, these are reliable. They are smooth, they're reliable, they look pretty good, and they're interesting, and it sort of gives a sense of history or familiarity at the end of the railway in particular, if they use mostly the same class of engine. Back on topic, you can sort of see there's the original lower coal bunker as on number 36, and much like how Maunsell DS237 is very similar to S73, this one is very similar to number 36. Except also you've got the black buffer beams. The safety valves and whistle are not black. And it doesn't have any steps here. So I'll turn the flash on so it shows it a bit easier. There we go. There's no steps here, there's no extra handrail. And being an S100, it doesn't have the little full plate that the two USAs have, which can be fitted as an optional extra, and it's not steam or brake fitted either. It's still smooth. It's wonderfully smooth. There's not a curve there, so all we go forward. She's on another curve. Still haven't set the points back. And it's reliable. Pulls what I need it to. I don't know how powerful these are in regards to how many coaches they could pull, how many wagons. I haven't got any real way of measuring on this layout because I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be worth it to drag all those wagons downstairs and all the way back upstairs just to try for an engine which is mostly going to be pulling at most 4 coaches or at most 6 wagons and a brake van. None of these engines are going to be doing particularly hard work here. I'll change that point so we can see it alongside the station as with all the other ones. There we go, so show us straight on now. That valve gear is, again, it's so mesmerising to watch. I could just watch them for hours, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start doing the comparisons, and so as 1968 is here, I'm going to get number 36 and I'll do a side-by-side. This is one of the easiest and simplest side-by-sides to do, same as with the two USAs, because they are very similar. In terms of the detailing, the only real difference as far as I can see is the presence of the steps just behind the buffer beam and this extra handrail, which is not present on number 1968. And then there's no printed builder's plate on the side of the smoke box as there is on 1968. But otherwise, they're pretty much identical. Let's couple them up together. Obviously there are livery differences. If you were just like an S100 or you build an industrial railway, particularly a colliery, then don't overlook number 36 because it is a nice smooth running engine. I've got 4 of them. They all 4 I have all seem to run well. Something a bit different as well compared to your usual saddle tanks, your Peckett's, your Hunselets, your Andrew Barclays, Hawthorne Leslie's soon. Here's something just a bit different, stands out a bit. And that sort of short, in reality 10-foot wheelbase as well. It does look a little bit better going around the tighter curves than the bigger 060s, like the Hunslet Austerity. If I can English, nearly called it a Hunslet Authority then, which, oh, that's a name and a half, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to move these two out of the way and then grab the two USAs and then go from there. Compare those two. Right, and these two are a bit more different than the two S100s are. Whoop, getting closer together. They both have the front steps, the large buffers, the same sort of cab, coal bunker. However, again, you can hopefully, I'm just going to move the camera a bit on the tripod. Oh, apologies for shaky cam. These safety valves are shorter than these safety valves. I'm not sure why. Also, you can see there's quite a, wrong way, simple little gubbin here. Whereas here, look, my hand doesn't get in the way. There's a much bigger, I don't know what that is. It might be a generator for the telephone system. Not much to do with the telephone system. I honestly don't know. Some other differences are sort of this large step here, which is not present here. There is this step here, which is teeny tiny. And then obviously there's the antennae for the telephone system. But otherwise these two are pretty much they're again, they're the same class, so they're very similar. But one similarity is that they both do have this plate in terms of the plates. So on the other side, so I haven't shown the other side. There's not really a whole lot different beyond sort of a step and the antennae. I'll just flip them around just to show. In terms of the S100, there's nothing on the other side which is particularly different except for the handrails at the front. I haven't rotated them. You can see this large step is still present. It's not present here. There is a little one on the front of the tank, but there's no large one. It's that little gubbin again, little device. Here it is. It's got two sort of pipes going up into it, or wires. It might be to do with the telephone system. It might be a generator, I'm not sure. Although there is a difference here. So this has got coming down, coming down, coming down. This has got more of a diagonal. And these pipes and things, they are black on the real engines, or they were black on the real engines. These are austerity locomotives. They wouldn't necessarily been brass or copper or exposed. They're just, everything's painted black on them, except for these, which will probably be left just in the brass. Well, what I'll do now is I'll put these so they're both facing the right direction, which is anti-clockwise, and then I'll compare DS237 to 1968, and in particular, hinted at it, but I'll go into why I'm comparing those two in particular. Number 1968 and DS237 are both models of a preserved locomotive, because they are both models of the same locomotive. Unless, because I've done a little bit of research on these, and unless the research I've done is wrong, which is entirely possible, these should be two models of the exact same locomotive, which I believe is 30065 as the BR number, so number 65 as the southern number. And it really just sort of shows that, yeah, they have a lot of similarities, but there's also quite a few differences. So this piece is different. It's very simple on here. It's just this little gubbin here, which I have failed to point out, but this is the same as is on S73. This piece here, these pipes, is different to here. You see again the safety valves have been shortened. The cab is entire itself. This is a later type cab. I'm not sure if this is how S100s were delivered later, or if this is a southern modification. I'm not 100% on that. Someone in the comments knows, please let me know if you've watched this far and you know the answer. It's got the slightly extended coal bunker, and obviously the telephone system fitted. The extra step, no step, so there's no step on the front. The plate on the side has been removed. Just gotta turn them around. Then you can see there's a little step here, but there's no access up to this, so good luck getting to those steps. It'll be easier on number 36 of the, I'm assuming, coalboard fitted sort of extra feet, extra steps and handrails. You can again see the sort of moving back on topic. This is quite sort of square, a bit more simple, whereas this, in a way, it's a bit more out of the way. This is quite long and triangular, again in nature. Cab interiors do have a difference, I think. Yes, there is actually something different in the cabs. This has a darker interior, which I did not notice because I was looking on the exterior ones. So S73 has a lighter interior. It's quite a dark one. This is a harsh light going on it. And then this has a lighter. It is really interesting seeing the differences. So if you model a 1940s World War II, like sort of my layout upstairs is themed, this is a good option for this locomotive. But if you model a bit later, this is a good option. For this layout's whole thing is running engines that I like, predominantly the USA's, little engines, and it doesn't have any one set era. It's just cars and vans and lorries and coaches, wagons from all over. It's a fairly modern JCB there, which is how I'm planning on loading the coal, because of these coal bunkers being a little bit narrow at the top, which will be a bit difficult to get up into without health and safety screaming at you. Whereas 1968 having the earlier type Coalmonger is a lot easier to load by hand. Well, I think what I'm going to do now, because I've gone over them, I can't compare to the final example, the brown one, in person. However, it does have the later cab, steam and brake fitted, but it has smaller buffers. It's got like the S100 type, supposed to be USA type small buffers. I can pick that one up if people would like to see it compared to the others. Again, they're all available now, and they're cheap. These ones are cheaper brand new than a lot of them are second hand. Patton's recently had number 36 second hand for £115, although they've since dropped it to £90. I don't know if it's still in stock, but yeah, being new for 110, from £110 new. That's a pretty good price. I mean, for what is quite an interesting, fairly different shunting dockyard industrial type locomotive. But I'm going to wrap it up, because this video has been long enough, and thank you to anyone who's watched this long. And I will try and get a few more running shots of the engines pulling different sort of consists behind them, so coaches. I already had 36 put in the freight, but I'll give them little things to like pull or show them moving around in the yard. Oh, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.